Yo, what up? We back. Week 2, we routed up with Whittle and JMIK. Today, we're definitely going to be discussing the Thursday night game where Josh Allen went crazy. And I just want to know if he put them boys in the rebuild all for one game. We definitely going to talk into the seriousness of Tua, if he's going to come back, if he's not going to come back. And also going to ask the guys, how do they feel about the head coach asking the media and fans to give him room and to not discuss him coming back? It seems like these coaches, along with Prime, putting a little bit too much dip on their chip. And we're also going to get into the week 2 slate with these games coming up, some blowout notices, some passing leaders, et cetera, et cetera. On the other side of this, we got JMIK Whip routed up. Yo, what's up? I just literally combined both of you guys' names. I said J Mitt and Wick. That was wild and crazy. But
It's
man, what's
early,
going on,
brother. It's
man?
early.
Yeah, man. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, man. How y'all feeling today, man?
Good, man.
Man, I'm feeling good myself, man. I mean, it's just football. I mean, today and tomorrow. So, I mean, it's all good at this point.
Yeah, man. We batting up. Well, not all of us, but you two, the show host, is batting 100. Right. Patriots 1-0.
Okay.
But I got a question about that game too. But first, let's get into Thursday night, man. Yep, we're gonna start with you, Whittle. Give me some thoughts on that game, man.
Hey, man, you know what, man? When I was a kid, my mother was raising me. She was very nice. She got me the things that I wanted. And I can only remember one time when my mother had to hit me. And I'm sorry that as an adult I have chosen a football team that has been very abusive to their child. And that I I I don't understand, man. I've tried to talk to the Bills. I've tried to reason with them. And at this point, it may be time to get the federal authorities involved because it is just continuously belt to bottom when we play the Dolphins. I mean, usually Josh Allen goes crazy. This time, Josh Allen kind of took a PTO day and just allowed James Cook, Ray Davis, and that defense to just kind of lock in and once again embarrass the Miami Dolphins in their building in a primetime game. So you know, to the many Miami fans out there, I apologize. I will continue to speak with these Buffalo Bills and try to get them to relax on the heavy hand.
My goodness, man. J Mick, man, like they got a whole week of this, bro. They got a whole week of this, man. What
Yeah,
you think
10 days. Yeah, 10 days to be exact. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, the crash out is real. That's all I'll say on that. But I mean, honestly, like I'm in this division, so I watch these games every year with the Bills and the Dolphins, and it's just like like what amazes me is people that ain't in the division, they want to pick the Miami Dolphins all the time. Like I don't. It doesn't make sense. And like until I see Miami beat the Bills, I just don't believe in them. Like it's one of them things. And I mean, watching the game, it's exactly what I expected to be. Like I expected to be closer. Like I mean, to be honest, like I didn't expect turnovers that I mean Tua had in that game. I mean some of them were his fault, some of them weren't. But it just like they didn't come out ready to play. And sometimes I gotta wonder, like, is it the coach, man? Because I mean, maybe the coach is too lax sometimes. Like, I mean, like maybe he doesn't have enough rope on his team or whatnot. But like I said, I mean, like I picked the Bills to win the game. Like I wasn't shocked. I mean, I was more shocked by the actual score. I thought it would be a little bit closer because sometimes the games in Miami be a little bit closer. Like the games in Buffalo be like blowouts most of the time. So I was thinking it was going to be more competitive, but that's just not what it was. And I mean, all I got to say about for the Dolphins aspect is, I mean, like prayers up to Tua and his family, man. Like that situation was, I mean, rough. I mean, like they're my rivals, but you never want to see a guy get injured like that. So I mean, you hope he makes a full recovery. And you hope he makes the right decision in terms of not to play or to play. I mean, I'm not going to tell that man and his family what to do. But I mean, hopefully they sit down with the doctors and all that and just, I mean, make the right decision. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And staying right there, Prime did this before the college football season. And JMIK, I know you're definitely in to college football with the check down who's going to be airing today. I think it's at 11:15, right?
yep.
Subscribe to the Check Down podcast. They do college and NFL. Great guys over there. Shout out to them. So how do you feel about Mike McDaniel asking like the media, the fans, and uh beat reporters and all those guys to give to a time before we start talking about if he should come back on that?
I hate to tell Mike McDaniel it doesn't work that way. Like
Right.
the fans are like so I heard this in the Twitter space earlier in the week. Fans are going to fan how they want to fan. So I mean, if that's what the fans want to talk about, there's nothing you can really do. Like it's their, especially the Dolphin fans. Like, I don't really blame them, because that's their quarterback. That's the guy that they signed the offseason to like a lucrative deal, and that's the guy that they thought was going to lead them to a playoff victory coming up. So if they're wondering when the guy gonna come back, I mean, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna tell them how to fan. Like that's that's the fan base. I mean, like like with the Dolphins, there are a lot of like educated Dolphin fans, and it's just for them. I mean, if you got to rely on Skylar Thompson, like I mean, I don't love this. I don't like to say people's seasons is over in week 2, but I've seen Skylar play, and Skylar is not that good. So I mean, so why they want him to come back? So I mean, as a coach, I just think you're asking something that's not reasonable. Like, right now, that's the only game that happened for the week. That's the only thing the media really going to be talking about. Like, they're going to be talking about Tua and how he got hurt for the, like the third time see, my thing is, it's one thing to get a concussion, but it's another thing when you kind of look like you're having a seizure. Like that is just different. People want to remember that. Right. So I just don't think he has a space to tell fans and like the media not to really talk about it, not to ask about it. I just don't think that's going to work. I mean, he just got to, you got to deal with it. And for me, like it all goes back to 2 years ago when he got concussed in the Buffalo game when I believe it was Matt Milano pushed him. He got concussed, and then the team didn't do the right thing. And 4 days later, he played the Bengals. He got concussed again. I think that has a lot to do with his current condition. And if the team wanted something different, they should have never played him in that a Bengals game on Thursday night.
Yeah, because you when you talk about concussions, talking about like swelling and all that. There's no way that swelling was subsided before then. So yeah, man, prayers out to Tua and his family. We pray they make the right decision, and it's a decision between him and his family. I think he has a kid now, right? A little baby, right?
I think he has 2, actually.
2?
Yeah, I think he got 2 kids.
Yeah, so you definitely not only want to play with your kids, but you want to play with your grandkids too, right? So it's the long effect of that. But before we get into this week, so JMIK, all right, did y'all win that game? Did the Bengals lose that game, or are the Bengals just not good?
I mean, the Bengals definitely lost the game, but I mean, we won the game. I mean, we controlled that whole game. So I mean, for someone to come to me and tell me that, it's just the Bengals losing. I mean, the Bengals played bad week 1. Nah, I mean, like we took that game from them. I mean, like we played really well in the trenches. And honestly, going into the season, our O-line is hurt. Like, I mean, both of our starting guards did not play in that game. They're hurt. One's on pup, and I mean, one's got I think he's got like an ankle injury or whatever. So I mean, we were playing with a beat up O-line. I mean, the left tackle that we got from Pittsburgh, we had to bench the dude about 10 snaps into the game because he was god awful. And so I mean, we had to bring in our left tackle, our starting left tackle that was hurt, but we didn't really want to play him, but we had to. But yeah, I mean, like we dominated the trenches. I mean, like we ran the ball when we wanted to run the ball. I mean, if you watched the end of that game, the Bengals had to stop us with I think 3 minutes to go, and they could not stop the run game. So that's just what it was all day. And I mean, like Keon White was a demon out there. I mean, like I think Keon White had 2.5 sacks in that game, and they couldn't block the dude. So I can't say that, it's just because it's the Bengals and it's week 1 and they always struggle. No, I mean, like we took that game from them. I mean, like we took the fight to them, and it was like they ain't really want the fight.
Do you, Whittle, do you think Burrow is healthy with that risk? Because I think we was talking about this yesterday. I think that injury is so unique, in the NFL. Is not a lot of success with that injury in baseball. It's kind of like the turf toe in the 90s, right? They just can't figure out how to get it back to 100%. Do you think that's going to like bother him for the rest of his career?
Yeah, I think that's something that he's going to have to deal with for the rest of the time that he plays. I remember seeing a doctor come on Twitter last year, like put up a video. It was almost like 3 or 4 minutes long, where he was just explaining how
Mm-hmm.
he's done that surgery before, the amount of rehab that it takes, and how you lose some functional strength behind it. So he said that Burrow's going to be able to play, but it's going to be a pain tolerance thing that he's going to have to deal with. So I mean, it's up to him. I do think that the Bengals start slow consistently every year, but if you look at like that roster, they lost their two rookie defensive tackles. DJ Reader's in Detroit. They didn't really replace him. I mean, it's that like this was a bad matchup for them, man. And Burrow going up against a opportunistic defense with a
Mm-hmm.
shutdown corner coming off of an injury going into year two, and Christian Gonzalez taking away basically your main target, and some unproven guys that he really hasn't had a ton of live game reps with. I don't know. Like they got to get this T Higgins situation straightened out,
Yeah.
and Burrow needs his weapons. Like if that wasn't abundantly clear after this game against the Patriots, like I mean, I don't know how else to make that point. Like they should not have lost to the New England Patriots, but they did, and the Patriots, like JMIK said, took the fight to them, and they couldn't really punch back.
Yeah. Let's get into this week's slate of games. J Mick, what is your game of the week?
My game of the week. So so for me, like I had a kind of tough time figuring this out, but I mean, I don't like. So I'm gonna go with the Bears and the Texans. I mean, it's the Sunday night football game. I mean, like I think it's a chance for C.J. Stroud to kind of like he had a good game, but I think he could have played better. And I mean, the Texas run game was I mean really good. And for me, I mean, the Bears offensively had a bad week. So I expect the Bears offense to bounce back as much as they can with that old line. I mean, the old line ain't the greatest. I mean, because Kittle was kind of running for his life. But I mean, that's the game I'm looking at. And I hope that it's more competitive than I kind of think it's going to be, because, like I said, like if that Bears O line played like they did last week against that Texans front, it has a possibility of me being a long game. But if the O line could block up the Texans front, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean the Bears wide receivers actually play, because I think Romo Dunze is questionable, and I think and I think it's Keenan Allen. I think he's also questionable. But I mean, if they can go, and the Bears O line can block it up long enough for me, I mean, for Caleb to be able to throw to those guys, I think it could be a really good game. But if the O line play like it did last week, and I mean Caleb running for his life, I mean it could be a long day for them.
What you got, Whittle?
Man, I'm surprised you went with that game when Chiefs Bengals is sitting right there, man. Chiefs Bengals got to be the game of the week, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Chiefs are looking to establish themselves as the force in the AFC. Just I mean they already are, but you want to stamp that. The Bengals have always given the Chiefs trouble. They've played them tight. They've had very good games over the last few years, and it's crazy because I just think that with the amount of trash talking going on, the Bengals really needing to bounce back. This is a signature opportunity for a signature win for them. I just think that's got to be the game of the week. This is a rivalry, man. This is a non-divisional rivalry game. Like this is a big one.
So here's the reason why I didn't say it. I didn't say it because I knew you was going to say it. So one of us was going to talk about it. So that was so I wasn't worried about it. Like one of us was going to touch on it. So I try to, what I try to do is, I mean, like I try to pick another game pretty much, because I knew that game. I mean, like it's the it's the talk of the week right now. I mean, that's the game that everybody want to see. So
yeah. So when we look at the passing leaders for this week, I think last week was the lowest output. But obviously before Thursday night's game, but the lowest output of passing yards in the NFL in over a decade on average. And I always kind of had this theory, JMIK, is that the offense adjusts, the defense adjusts, and then the offense adjusts again, right? So the defense, think about the front seven, because the offense was getting much faster. The defense is starting to get smaller and faster. So now we're seeing a little shift back into power football or running the football. And now the defense is going to have to adjust again. How do you all feel about that and having the lowest output of passing yards in the NFL in over a decade in week one? I know it's just week one.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a problem, and I've been watching football for a long time. So, like, I like when I was growing up, I mean, this is how it was. Like, you ran the football, and like like that's how you establish your offense in the game. So, there's not just one. The way I look at it, it's not just one way to play offense. Like, you just don't have to throw the ball go 4 or 5 wide and just run and shoot type of football. Like, there are other ways to play the game. And if you're able to, since the defenses want to get faster, and obviously to get faster, like your defenders have to be lighter. And if you want to employ, a power running game, like I don't have a problem with it. Like it's week one. Like it doesn't mean that like the passing is going to be down for the whole season. So I'm not going to overreact to it. Like to what you're saying. But yeah, like there's 2 ways to play offense in this league, and you can either run it or you can throw it. So I just don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think this is a pushback against the trend right now. The trend is we're gonna get smaller linebackers and much faster guys. We're gonna play, east west. We're gonna have guys that can fly around the field. And I just think that there are teams that are saying, you know what, you're gonna continue to come out here with these small linebackers, these small defensive backs, and these lighter, faster defensive linemen. We're just going to get big, we're just going to get big old linemen and running backs and a stable of running backs. We're just going to pound the football and force you to come out of those nickel and dime or 3 safety looks and force you to play more, a bigger personnel to open up the passing game. The athletes are so great at this point, on both sides of the football. You got to do something to get an advantage. So that's why you're seeing an increase in tight ends and tight end production and 12 personnel and 13 personnel sacks. Teams are just trying to find a way to stay ahead of the current trend. So, shout out to them. I actually think this does continue. I think teams will continue to focus more on running the football. And, when it gets colder, it's easier to hand the football off. When it gets colder and windier and rainy and the weather starts to turn for the worse, it's easy. Like if you can hand the football off, it get 5-6 yards a touch.
Sheesh.
Why not? Why not? That's what I would do. Just hand the ball off. You know what I'm saying? And we'll save the throwing until we really have to or it really matters.
All right, let's get into the passing leaders this upcoming week, who we believe projected passing leaders in these games. After having that discussion, let's go right to you, JMIK. Who are you looking at to have a big passing output this week?
I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. I watched a lot of the Bengals game, obviously, because they played my team last week. The pass rush to me wasn't that great. The corners were okay. But to me, like we don't have the weapons to really threaten, their secondary. And obviously the Chiefs have those weapons. They'll have those weapons in Kelsey and Rashid Rice and the kid that got out of Texas. So I feel as if in the matchup, and obviously like Casey has a really good offensive line. So I think they're going to be able to block it up pretty well. And then I think Kelsey is going to have a much bigger game than he had last week against the Ravens.
Mhm.
And I could just see Pat just, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's gonna go crazy, but I could, you know, I mean, I could see him having a really good day.
What you got, Whittle?
Man, I'm you know, I gave this some thought, and my initial choice was going to be Kyler Murray going up against that Rams defense. Like that
Mm.
Rams defense got absolutely shredded by the Lions in Week 1. Um, but I'm gonna go with a bounce back performance out of Tennessee with Will Levis. I think Will Levis has a big game. The Jets do not have a pass rush outside of Quinn and Wade. No Hassan Reddick, no problem. Like the linebackers are not great in coverage. Their safety stink, and DJ Reed is hurt. So you got Sauce, who had to spend some time on the sideline after Debo Samuels gave him his welcome to the NFL moment. Um, I just think that defense is going to be in for a long night, man. Like Will Levis has to play better. He cannot play any poorly than he did last week. He's got to bounce back this week. I'm taking Will Levis as the overall passing leader for this week.
We knew for a fact that it was going to be a Jets shot at some point during the show from Whittle.
Did I make it obvious? Was it that obvious? Wow. Wow.
JMIK, Russian leaders, what you got, man?
I'm gonna go with Jonathan Taylor. I think he's gonna have a good day. I mean, the Colts, I believe, are going against the Packers. The Packers didn't really show me much going against the Eagles in their run game. And so I can see a lot of the same with the Colts. I mean, you know, the Colts can obviously stretch the field with AR. I mean, because when in Week 1 against the Texans, he had 2 like down the field throws that were pretty incredible. And so I just think they're going to line up and they're going to run the ball at Green Bay. And I mean, like Green Bay, I mean, from a, you know, in terms of Green Bay offensively, like their quarterback, they got him listed as questionable, but I don't think he's playing in that game. So it kind of makes them limited on the offensive side of the ball. So I mean, if I was the Colts OC, I'd be trying to run JT and I'd be trying to run AR. And then I think JT is just going to break a couple long runs, and I think he's going to get in the end zone maybe 1 or 2 times. And I just see him having a huge day.
What you got with him?
It's not a jet shot, so you know. Yeah, I you know what? Give me Joe Mixon again. I like the Chicago Bears defense everywhere except for at defensive tackle. I think that they will come into this game looking to try to take away as many of CJ's passing weapons as possible. I think Mixon could have a big game. I like the Bears defense, but they at defensive tackle, they're young, they're not that experienced, and I think that offensive line of Houston is very good. I think Joe Mixon can have a big game.
That's so when we look at these at these wide receivers, and looking at who's going to have the better day, we're going to start with you, JMIK, and see like what we discussed before we start having this conversation about the passing going down. Before we get into that, do you think the cornerbacks are getting better? Do you think the wide receiver talent is not as high as we all, you know, kind of expected to be? Because a lot of people, when you talk about top 15s, you know, it can go after like 4 or 5, it can kind of be all over the place. Or do you just think it's defenses is like figuring out these offensive coordinators?
I mean, I'll take this side of it. Like, I don't think that the wide receiver talent is down, because I think there's a lot of great wide receivers in the league. So I'm not going to go that route with the talent being down. And I also think the cornerback talent is good too. And so what I lean on is more towards like the OCs and some of their schemes, because there, you know, I mean, like there are just some schemes in the league that just aren't great. I mean, obviously the Shanahan scheme is, I mean, spreading throughout the league and it works well. I mean, like it's a very quarterback friendly, I mean, offense to have quarterbacks in. So I mean, with the teams that aren't using that scheme, I mean, sometimes it's like they're not using the motion, or they're just not using, like, the combination routes aren't there and stuff like that. So I just think it's creativity on certain schemes and the schemes that certain teams use. And I think that's more the reason for that. I mean, but it also breaks down to like the trenches play. Like, I mean, the offensive tackle play is not the greatest right now.
Yeah.
And if you want to throw the ball, you got to give your quarterback time, especially the down the field routes. I mean, and so if you're not, I mean, like if your O-line is getting beat every time by like the edge rushers because the tackles aren't as good as good as they've been in prior years, then that's going to make the passing game go down, and that's going to be reflected in the wide receiver stats. So that's kind of how I view it. It's not just one thing, but I think it's a combination of those. I mean, two things.
What you think, Whittle?
Yeah, I think this has to do with the fact that nobody really plays in the preseason. Guys are starting off, like a lot of guys, their first real game reps are, in the first game of the season. You got, if it's not a holdout situation, it's a GM or a coach saying, I don't want my best guy to really get out there and do anything too crazy or run the risk of injury. So they're sitting these guys. They're sitting these guys until week one, and then they're coming out here and they're getting into game shape by playing the game. And so I think you're seeing you're seeing a lack of continuity or a lack of chemistry between wide receivers and the quarterbacks. You're seeing guys that are, not completely comfortable with timing or where exactly the ball needs to be, ball placement. So I think that it'll improve over the course of the season. I mean, because the rules are skewed in the way of the offense. So the corners are looking good right now, but I think eventually this evens out.
All right, Jamie, who you got for your receiving leader this week?
So I'm not gonna hit on the Jets. I think Garrett Wilson's gonna have a pretty good day. Like, so I had to see the offense week one. And the amount of volume that he's going to get in terms of targets, he's going to get the targets to put up good numbers. His only issue that I see in this game is Snead. I mean, if Snead going to follow him around, it could get kind of tough for him. But like the Titans defense, like I don't know how they're going to do that. Like I don't know if they're going to have Snead follow him from, like the left side to the right side, or what exactly they're going to do. Because I mean, like the Titans, their right corner is not terrible either. So. I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson. I mean, just for the target basis, and I mean, like he's gonna get the amount of targets because he's the main. I mean, like in the passing game, he's the main guy. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
Wow. Wow. Bro, I was staying away from the Jets wide receivers. Because I mean, listen, between Snead, Awuzie coming back from his second. His year two after his injury, after the ACL, I didn't think that was going to be a good matchup for the Jets. I mean, Garrett Wilson is the only receiver they have, but if you believe that interior O line that got bullied and stuffed in lockers last week is going to do something with Dexter, with Sweat and Simmons, I mean. Hey man, good luck. But no, my choice, my pick is gonna be Cooper Kupp.
Whittle, your hate for the Jets
it's strong. It's strong. It's strong. Yeah, my pops was a Jet fan, so it's probably some pent up trauma from back in the day.
It's making sense. It's making sense.
No, man. And listen, I got Cooper Kupp. The Cardinals defense is atrocious. Like, I don't want to swear, but they are dog feces. Like, it is bad. Their defense is really, really not that good. I mean, yeah, I know if you go to week one and you say, well, they hung with the Bills and the Bills look great. Go back and watch the defense actually play. The Bills never got stopped. Like, they punted maybe twice, 2 or 3 times that game, I think, total. And then the first time they got stopped, Josh Allen held the ball too long. It was a strip sack. Their corners, their safeties, I like those guys, but they're just not good, right? It's just not a good group right now. So I look for Cooper Kupp to have a monster game, especially with Nakua either not playing or being gimpy. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely not playing. I think they put him on IR, so he definitely out.
Oh yeah, so yeah, so how Matthew Stafford do. He gonna feed him early, often, and every play he can. Yeah, Cooper
He
Kupp.
gonna have all right. It's all right. Over under targets for Cooper Kupp. I'm gonna set it at 9.
Yeah, he's
Over.
definitely over. Yeah, it's definitely over.
You could have set it at 18, and I was gonna say over. It's a over.
Oh
Please.
man. What's your upset of the week? Pick JMIK.
I mean, it's funny because I mean, it's funny because on the check down, the whole pod picked the Patriots last week,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
so that's what I should have did last week. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it this week, though, man. I'm looking at my game. I mean, like we are 3-point dogs at home. Seahawks, they are starting running back is out. Well, I mean, he's doubtful, but I mean, like if you're watching the football, I mean, like players that are listed as doubtful are probably not going to play. So I mean, like they're gonna lean on Charbonnet, who's gonna be the starting running back this week, and their wide receiving core. I mean, so I mean, they got DK, and they got Tyler Lockett, and they got JSN. So I mean, like they got a solid core. But I just think, I mean, like the way my team played in the trenches, and I think we just gonna be able to beat them. And I'm not saying we're gonna blow them out, but I definitely think that we take the win. And it's our first home game of the year, so I'm pretty sure that those boys are gonna come out. I mean, ready to play. And so I mean, that's who I'm picking.
Well, you got Whittle.
Okay. Blowout notice, right? Blowout notice. Who's gonna get blown out?
Upset Pete.
Oh, upset. Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, upset of the week. Give me the Vikings over the 49ers. 49ers have not won in Minnesota in a million years. No McCaffrey. Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator. That defense over there. I know listen, I know Daniel. I know Danny Dimes has been playing like Danny Pennies or Danny Pesos as of late, but what they were able to do to that Giants offense, which outside of quarterback, is a very, very solid unit with Brian Daboll as the play caller. I mean, that was crazy. So give me the Vikings to pull off a upset.
All right, blowout notice. Who is on blowout notice this week, JMIK?
So I'm gonna put the Raiders on blowout notice. So the Raiders are flying across the country, flying to Baltimore to play the Ravens. I mean the Ravens had 10 days to sit on this loss that they took to the Chiefs. On that last quarter game where Isaiah Likely had his foot on the line. So I know the Ravens gonna come out to play. And I'm just not confident in the Raiders quarterback position, to be honest. So I'm not confident in that. I mean, like there are certain players on the Raiders defense that I do like, especially on the line. So I mean, like, and you have, I mean, Wilkins, and then you have the edge rush. I just cannot remember his name right now. Max Crosby. Yeah. So I mean, like those are guys that I do like on the defense, but I mean, I just don't like the spot for the Raiders, man. Like I just think the Ravens feel like they got to win this game, and then I just think Lamar Jackson is just gonna come out strong in this game, and it's just gonna be a long day for the Raiders.
What you think,
Will? I was gonna go put the Jets or the Bengals here, but I'm gonna go with the Broncos, man. That Pittsburgh defense is absolutely stifling. Rookie quarterback, not a ton of talent on either side of the football over there. I just think that their ability to run the football, go up.
Is that me? Thank you. Yeah.
No, I think he was breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that was me. I'm good now. I'm good. Yeah, give me the Broncos, man. Give me the Broncos on blowout notice for sure.
All right, let's go. And so far, 1 week is down. Let's just kind of look at like just give me a couple people, JMIK, that you're looking at as far as the quarterback conversation, as far as top 3. Now we're not talking about top three would you start your team around? Pass. We just talking about week one. Who are your top three quarterbacks in week one?
So I mean, in terms of week one, so I'll go like this. So I'm gonna still put Patrick Mahomes at number one. I mean, he had a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
I'm going against the Ravens. I mean, like that defense from the year previous was, I mean, pretty much one of the best defenses in the league. So I mean, I gotta use, who you play against, and he almost had a clean game. I think he threw one pick right before the first half was over. Number two, I'm gonna go Josh Allen, man. I mean, Josh Allen in that second half against the Cardinals. I mean, he put the team on his back. And he accounted for 4 touchdowns in that game. And I mean, like he had one fumble, but I don't really think about it was using the pocket, and it was a good play by the I think it was the edge rusher. So I'm not gonna penalize you too much for that. And number three, I'm gonna go. This might be controversial for some people, but I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield, man. If you watch that game, Baker was really good in that game. He was really good in that game. And so if someone was to hear this list and just not know the context, they'd be like, damn, are you crazy? And I'd be like, nah. I mean, like if you watch Baker in that game, I mean, like, Baker was excellent in that game. So I'm gonna go Baker number three.
And before you go, and speaking of Baker, and of course you all know I had this conversation a lot this past week about Baker Mayfield and that secondary. But regardless about the secondary or not, the passes he was throwing was where the receivers were going, not where they were at. I mean, he had some elite throws against us, right? I mean, some contested catches. He threw one to Mike Evans in the back of the end zone when BSJ was literally had great coverage. That was great coverage, but he put it in a place that only Mike Evans can get it, man. So he definitely looked very good in that game, and maybe the resurgence is real. And I don't know if y'all want to talk about his numbers compared to the other guy's numbers since he signed that $230 million fully guaranteed. But Whittle, who you got for your quarterbacks, man?
Man, my list is probably gonna look the same. I'm gonna go with Baker, Josh, and I thought Derek Carr had like a great week, man. So yeah, that's gonna be my three, man. I could have threw golf in here, but I definitely feel like those three guys, man, Baker, Josh, and Carr, like they really did their thing.
For
But
sure.
yeah, Cleveland's got to be kicking themselves. They can't keep their $230 million quarterback off of Instagram and out of the massage parlor. So it's rough, man. It's rough for them, man. Shout out to the Browns, though, man. Shout out to y'all.
Shout out to the Browns is even nastier.
Nah, it's love with
man.
them, man. It's love with them. It's love, but
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, man. I just don't. I just don't.
You know what they're going to do. You think that case just popped up for no reason?
Yeah,
There's
because
got
they
to be
got
a
something in
clause
their
in the
clause or
contract
something, right?
somewhere.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
there actually is a clause. I think
yeah. I think they talked about it at the beginning of last year. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, but I know that there are 3 teams that are thinking the Browns right now. It's got to be the Falcons, it's got to be the Saints, and it's got to be the Panthers because I mean they was in that mix to get Deshaun, and then I mean like Cleveland just kind of went crazy with the offer. So I mean so those 3 franchises, I know right now they happy as hell right now.
Well, I don't know about Atlanta. I mean, Kirk Cousins looked kind of bad, but
All right, who you got for your running back? Swan. Good morning, Swan. Who you got for your running backs, Mick?
My running backs, I mean, obviously you got to put Joe Mixon number 1, man. I mean, the performance that he had last week was just it was just like, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not low on Mixon. I think he's a really good back. I just wasn't expecting that man to run for 160. That's the thing. Like that when he did that, I'm like, well, I was like, well, damn. Like, I knew he was good, but I was like, wow. Number 2, I mean, I got to go Jordan Mason, man. I mean, like that performance that he had, and like I get it, I mean, like the left side of the 49ers line is really good with Trent Williams. I mean, but the rookie guard that they drafted and Pooney, I mean, he had a really good game, but I mean, Jordan Mason, I mean, he would get about four. He get about 4 yards, and then he get the contact. He would run the Jets over, man. Like I mean, like he took the will from them. And then third, I mean, like I could be a homer and say Mondre Stevenson, but I'm gonna go J.K. Dobbins, man. I mean, the kid been hurt a lot. And I mean, he had a good game. I mean, he didn't get a lot of volume in that game. He only got 10 carries, but he did the most with them 10 carries. I think got about a buck 40. So yeah, so I mean, those would be my top 3 running backs of the week.
Who you got, Whittle?
Man, my list is very similar. Of course, Joe Mixon at the top. What he was able to do was absolutely amazing. I mean, and I expected that. To me, that was the best acquisition they made on the offensive side of the football this offseason. Number 2 is this week. I mean, this week it was Jordan Mason. Next week it's going to be whatever running back is playing that Jets defensive line because they stink. And third, I'm gonna be a homer here, man. I'm gonna have to go with James Cook, man. I think the contact balance is really really solid. His patience in the hole, looking for where he needs to go. He's explosive. He's a threat to catch it out of the backfield. I think he's put together at this point 2 solid campaigns so far for this season. So those are my 3.
All right. Let's go to our MVP discussion before we end the show. We'll start with you, JMIK. Who is your top 5 so far in our MVP conversations?
So I mean, so obviously, I mean, like there was a game played, so I'm not gonna count that game played. But I mean, right now, man, like all the talk of the summer was, the Bills weren't gonna be as good. Well, from some people, I didn't believe it, but they weren't gonna be as good. I mean, the offense, they didn't have no receivers, none of this, none of that. How they gonna score? And they're averaging 30 points a game right now. So I mean, like, so I got to put Josh number 1. I'm gonna go Patrick Mahomes number 2. Because they beat a really good team, the Ravens. I mean, like he had a really good game. Number 3, I'm gonna go Matthew Stafford because I think Matthew Stafford on that team, like they're gonna need him to play at a very high level. And even though they lost against the Lions, I mean, like that was a tough game for them. I mean, they went into Detroit. I mean, they lost an OT, but he did play a good game. So I'm gonna go Stafford 3. I'm gonna go CJ Stroud 4. CJ had a solid game, and I expect CJ to continue his solid play. And number 5, who do I want to put at number 5? I'm gonna do what I like to do in this conversation. I'm gonna go a non-quarterback. So I'm gonna go Jaden Reed because of the week that he had against the Eagles. He's probably not gonna win MVP, but I always like to throw one non-quarterback in there. So
nothing wrong with it. What you got, Whittle?
Number 1, I mean, I'm going with the Winter Soldier, man. At this point, the production is where it is. I believe he has 5 touchdowns, 1 turnover, no interceptions. So, 2 weeks in, man, he's playing great football. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. That was probably the biggest game. That's the biggest game of the season so far. The Chiefs and the Ravens, and he had an excellent game. 3, I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield. I just think that listen, if Baker can continue to play this way, he's a feel-good story. Number 1, because of the whole start in Cleveland and where he is now. So I gotta kind of give it to him. And then I'm gonna go with a non-quarterback as well. And I'm gonna tap right into the same team that you pulled CJ Stroud from. Give me Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is the stabilizer force for that offense. If they can if they're gonna be successful, it's going to be based on how well Joe Mixon plays. That I think that determines how far this Texans team can go. And then number 5, man, give me Brock Purdy, man. I just like that. I think that Brock Purdy and that San Francisco 49ers team is probably the best. They look the best so far in the league. And this is a quarterback award, man. So I think he kind of got snubbed last year a little bit. I think he should have gotten way more consideration than he did. So I think this year, you know how the NFL do, man. They give makeup awards. So, Brock Purdy's definitely going to be there when the dust settles. I mean, he's going to be one of the finalists.
For sure. For sure. Well, there you go. Any last comments from you, JMIK?
Nah, man. Just enjoy, like it's college football today. I mean, and the NFL come on tomorrow. Enjoy your football Sunday. That's it.
What you got, Whittle? Oh boy.
Hey, my final stance is for all you people who picked against the Bills in this offseason, one more thing. Hassan Reddick, if you're listening, stand your ground, bro. Stand your ground. Don't let them talk to you. No, listen, stand your ground. You owe it to the ancestors, brother. Stand your ground and get your money, man. Don't let them talk to you like that.
Oh man, there we go, man. Episode 2 of Routed Up. We appreciate all of you for listening. We appreciate you watching, using your time. We know your time is very valuable, and for that, we definitely appreciate you. Subscribe, like, and comment. Meet us back here next week at 9 a.m. next Saturday. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. From Whittle, from JMIK, one beat, one sound, one heart, one love.